My mom stole my credit card to pay for a vacation for the whole family, except for me. Now, they all regret it. It all started with an innocent phone call from Mom. The call came in the middle of the workday. I was sitting at my computer, immersed in the routine of spreadsheets and endless reports when the phone's vibration distracted me. Mom lit up on the screen. My heart skipped a beat. Calls from Mom during working hours were always out of the ordinary. She usually called in the evening after work to see how my day went, or on weekends to discuss plans for the week. I answered the call, pressing the green button. "Hi, Mom," I said, trying to make my voice sound cheerful and casual, although a slight unease was already creeping inside. "Hello, dear," Mom replied, and in her voice, it seemed to me, there was an unusual softness, even tenderness. Usually her voice was more businesslike, practical, filled with care, but without excessive sentimentality. "How are you, honey? How's work?" "Yeah, everything's normal, Mom. Work is work. How are you?" I replied, automatically switching to polite conversation mode. "I'm fine too. Just, decided to call, see how you're doing there. It's been a while since we saw each other." "Well, yeah, it has been a while," I agreed, even though we had seen each other at her place last week for Sunday lunch. But I didn't argue. "Listen, is everything all right at your place? Maybe you need some help? Cleaning up? Maybe cooking something?" This is where I was truly surprised. Mom had never offered me help with housework before. She always considered me a grown, independent woman, capable of taking care of myself. And I had never complained about household problems. My apartment was always in order, though maybe not in the ideal, maternal understanding of order. "Mom, no, everything's fine. I have it clean, I'm keeping up," I replied, trying to understand what Mom was getting at. "Well, okay, she said, and in her voice, there was some disappointment, as if she had expected a different answer. "It's just, I thought maybe you're busy. You're busy at work and at home." "Mom, everything is really fine. Thank you, of course, for your concern, but I'm managing." "Well, all right. As you wish," she said, and in her voice the same softness sounded again, but now with a hint of sadness mixed in. "I just missed you. Wanted to help if you needed it. It's been a while since we saw each other, hasn't it?" "It has, Mom. We should get together sometime this week. Have tea." Yes, come over. Your dad and I will be happy." We talked a little more about work, about the weather, about some mutual acquaintances. The conversation was casual, light, almost meaningless. And I had no idea that this seemingly innocent call would become the first link in a chain of events that would lead to a real catastrophe in my life. It was a conversation that, as it turned out later, became the beginning of the end. After the call, I went back to work, but a vague feeling of anxiety wouldn't leave me. Something was off in that conversation. Something escaped my understanding. But I brushed these thoughts aside, attributing everything to fatigue and overwork. There was still a workday ahead, and I needed to focus on business. Several days passed. Life fell into its usual routine. Work, home, rare meetings with friends, Sunday lunches at my parents'. Nothing foreshadowed trouble. One evening after work, I decided to check my credit card statement. I usually did this once a week to monitor expenses. Opening the banking app, I automatically scanned the list of transactions. And suddenly, my gaze caught on something strange. Withdrawals. Small amounts. Movie tickets. Dinners at restaurants. Unfamiliar place names. At first, I thought it was some kind of mistake. A technical glitch. But the longer I looked, the stronger the anxiety grew. The withdrawals continued, every day, several times a day. The amounts were small, but their number was alarming. I started scrolling through the transaction history further and further, trying to understand what was happening. And then I saw them. Payment for plane tickets, hotel payment, tropical island. The amount was substantial, several $1,000s. Several $1,000s spent on something completely incomprehensible and clearly not by me. My heart pounded wildly. My hands trembled. Different thoughts flashed through my head. Hacking, theft, fraud. I tried to remember where I could have left my card details. Maybe in some online store? Maybe in a cafe, but nothing specific came to mind. I frantically started searching the internet for information about possible ways to steal credit card data. I read articles about phishing, skimming, viruses, I tried to remember if I had opened any suspicious emails, clicked on any dubious links. But none of these versions seemed convincing. The withdrawals were too ordinary somehow. Movie tickets, dinners at restaurants. It didn't look like the actions of professional fraudsters. They usually withdraw large sums, not spend money on entertainment. And then, like a lightning bolt, a thought pierced me. Mom, her call a few days ago, her strange concern, her questions about my apartment. No, it's impossible. Mom, she couldn't. But doubts had already crept into my soul like poisonous snakes. I tried to drive them away, to convince myself that it was nonsense, paranoia. But the more I thought, the stronger the suspicion became. I opened the banking app again and carefully looked at the hotel payment details. Hotel name, booking dates, amount. And then I noticed a small, barely noticeable link, booking information. Clicking on the link, I was taken to a page with order details. The name listed when booking the hotel made me go cold. It was my mom's name. My heart plummeted somewhere down to my heels. The world around seemed to cease to exist. My ears rang, circles swam before my eyes. Mom, she paid for the hotel with my credit card. Without my knowledge. Without my permission. But why? Why did she need this? Fragments of phrases from our last conversation swirled in my head. Missed you? Wanted to help. It's been a while since we saw each other. Help? Is that how she understands help? Paying for her vacation at my expense? I grabbed the phone and frantically dialed the bank's number to block the card. While waiting to connect with an operator, confused thoughts raced through my head. Anger, resentment, incomprehension, disappointment, and somewhere deep inside, pain. Pain from the betrayal of the closest person. Having waited for the operator to answer, I quickly explained the situation, blocked the card, and requested a detailed statement of all suspicious transactions. The operator politely and professionally fulfilled all my requests, promising to investigate the situation and contact me in the near future. Putting down the phone, I felt completely empty. Emotions overwhelmed me, but none of them were positive. Anger, resentment, confusion, everything mixed into some bitter, unpleasant cocktail. I needed to talk to Mom. Immediately. Right now. I dialed her number again and waited for an answer, holding my breath. The dial tones stretched slowly, agonizingly as if time had slowed down. Finally, she answered. Her voice sounded calm, as always. Too calm. Hello, dear. Is something wrong? She asked, and in her voice there was no hint of guilt, not a drop of embarrassment. Mom, it's me. Do you know what's happening with my credit card? I asked, trying to control the tremor in my voice. Oh, you noticed? She said, and in her voice there was even some surprise, as if she didn't expect me to discover the loss so quickly. Well, yes, it's me and Dad, your brother and his wife. We decided to arrange a little vacation for ourselves. You don't mind, do you? You always said you were doing well with money. I was in shock. In complete, absolute shock. Not only from the fact that she took my card without asking, spent my money, but also from her tone, her calmness, her audacity, and also from the fact that I wasn't even invited. A vacation for the whole family, paid for with my money, and there's no place for me on this vacation. Mom, are you serious? You took my card to pay for a vacation for everyone except me? I asked, not believing my ears. She just shrugged, as if I had asked some stupid, obvious question. Well, you're always busy with work. We thought you wouldn't be able to go. And besides, it's not difficult for you. You have money lying on your card anyway, right? Mom, it's my money, and you have no right to dispose of it without my permission. I exploded, unable to hold back my anger any longer. Well, why are you shouting? She said offendedly. We're family. Can't we help each other? Especially when you have the opportunity, and we now, well, Dad's pension was delayed. Your brother and his wife aren't doing too well either. Mom, this isn't help, it's theft. You stole money from me to pay for your vacation. Don't talk nonsense. What theft? We'll return everything to you as soon as we can. It's just that now the situation is... No, Mom, you won't return it. And I don't want you to return it to me. I just want you to understand that you can't do that. You can't take other people's things without asking. You can't dispose of other people's money without permission. These are elementary rules of decency, Mom. Oh, give me a break with your lectures. she said Risdrajona, 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 Risdrajona. Risdrajona, 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 irritably. You're always so righteous, so principled. And when it comes to helping family, you immediately hide in the bushes. Mom, help is one thing, and theft is quite another. You crossed the line, Mom. You violated all boundaries. What boundaries? We're family. There shouldn't be any boundaries between us, she exclaimed, and hysterical notes sounded in her voice. I realized that arguing further was useless. She doesn't hear me, doesn't understand, doesn't want to understand. She is sure of her righteousness, sure that she has the right to dispose of my money, because she is my mother, and I am her daughter, and I must obey her in everything. Mom, I don't want to discuss this on the phone anymore. I blocked the card and filed a statement with the bank about unauthorized expenses. Let the lawyers sort it out from here. What? Have you completely lost your mind? You want to sue us? Your own family? She screamed, and I felt hysteria rising in the receiver. No, Mom. I don't want to sue anyone. I just want you to understand that you acted wrongly, and that it never happens again. You're just an ungrateful egoist, she shouted, and short beeps sounded in the receiver. She hung up. I slowly lowered the phone onto the table, feeling completely broken. The conversation brought no relief, but only worsened the situation. Mom didn't admit her guilt, didn't apologize, but on the contrary, accused me of all sins. Several days passed. I lived in a state of some apathy, detachment. Work didn't go well. Food seemed tasteless. Sleep, restless. I constantly thought about the conversation with Mom, scrolled it through my head, trying to understand what went wrong. There were no calls from my parents. Complete silence, as if nothing had happened, as if they are still enjoying their tropical vacation paid for with my money. And then, a few days after our conversation, the phone rang. Brother lit up on the screen. I picked up the phone, expecting to hear another portion of accusations and reproaches, but my brother's voice sounded different. He was hysterical, agitated, almost panicked. What have you done? He shouted into the phone as soon as I managed to answer. What have you done, you idiot? We're being evicted from the hotel. Mom and Dad have no money to pay for all this. For a second, I was taken aback by such pressure. And then slowly, calmly, as if from afar, the meaning of his words reached me. Evicted from the hotel. No money. To pay. What do you mean evicted? Why don't they have money? I asked, trying to remain calm. Because your card is blocked. Because the bank refused to pay. Because you idiot, ruined everything. My brother continued to shout. Ah, so that's it, I said slowly, understanding what was happening. So, they decided that I would pay for their vacation, and when the money ran out, they found themselves in a difficult situation. Well, yes. What did you expect? We were counting on you. Mom said you wouldn't mind. Mom said, I smirked. Mom said she would take my card without asking and spend my money on her vacation. Mom said it's normal that I should pay for her entertainment. Well, not exactly like that. My brother lowered his tone a little, feeling that his pressure wasn't working. But we're family. We should help each other. Especially since you have money and we now. Brother, I already told Mom and I'll repeat it to you. Help is one thing and theft is another. You took someone else's money to pay for your vacation. And now you are in a situation that you created yourselves. But what are we supposed to do now? We're being kicked out of the hotel. We don't know where to go. We have no money for return tickets. My brother's voice trembled again. Tears appeared in it. Maybe next time you'll think before spending other people's money, I replied calmly. And now, well, I don't know what to advise you. Maybe you should contact the embassy? Or ask friends for help? Or sell something from your belongings? After all, you are adults. You should be able to solve your problems on your own. You're just a monster, my brother sobbed and hung up. I was alone again, in the silence of my apartment. But now, to the feeling of resentment and disappointment, some strange satisfaction was added. They got what they deserved. They paid for their audacity, for their self-confidence, for their habit of living at someone else's expense. A few days later, they returned home, earlier than expected, without a tropical tan and without happy memories of the vacation. The meeting with Mom was tense, cold, almost hostile. She tried to make a scandal, to accuse me of all the troubles, of the spoiled vacation, of the humiliation in front of my brother and his wife. But I was calm and unyielding. Mom, I've already said everything. You violated boundaries. You crossed the line. And now you have to take responsibility for your actions. Now you know what it means to violate boundaries. Mom silently looked at me with eyes full of hatred. Contempt, resentment, anger were red in her gaze. She didn't understand me, didn't want to understand. She considered herself a victim and me, a traitor, an enemy of the family. Since then, relations in the family became strained, taut like a tight string, ready to snap at any moment. Mom and Dad stopped calling. My brother avoided meetings, pretending that I didn't exist. Sunday lunches at my parents' stopped. Family holidays passed without me. I thought it was a temporary phenomenon, that over time everything would settle down, be forgotten, forgiven. I hoped that common sense would prevail, that they would realize their mistake and apologize. But I was wrong. A month passed. The silence continued. I felt more and more lonely, detached from my family. I tried to call Mom several times, but she didn't answer the calls. I wrote messages, no response. And then, one day, completely by chance, I learned that Mom had taken out a loan to cover the expenses that I refused to pay. I found out about it completely by chance. I went to visit my parents to try to establish contact, talk, make peace. Mom opened the door. She was unwelcoming, cold, as if I was an unwanted guest. "What do you need?" she asked dryly, not inviting me in. "Mom, I just wanted to talk, to make peace," I said, trying to remain calm. "Make peace? After what you've done?" she smirked. "No, daughter. There's nothing to make peace about. You destroyed everything yourself." "Mom, I didn't destroy anything. I just protected my boundaries. I didn't allow you to dispose of my money without my permission." "Ah, boundaries," she mimicked me. "You're always with your boundaries. Family is not boundaries. It's love, it's mutual help, it's support. And you are just an egoist, thinking only about yourself. Mom, I love you, I want to help you, but not in this way. Not at the cost of my humiliation and my financial ruin." "Humiliation? Financial ruin?" she snorted. "You're just greedy and petty. You begrudge money for your own family." "Mom, it's not about the money, it's about principle. It's about the fact that you acted wrongly and you don't want to admit it." At that moment, I noticed a letter on the table in the hallway. An envelope with the bank's logo, addressed to Mom. Curiosity got the better of me. I automatically took the letter in my hands and read the sender's address. A bank that issues consumer loans. "Mom, what is this?" I asked, pointing to the letter. She was embarrassed, blushed, tried to snatch the letter from my hands, but I managed to read the heading. "Notice of loan debt." It's none of your business," she muttered, looking away. "Mom, is this a loan?" I asked, not believing my eyes. "You took out a loan to pay for this ill-fated vacation?" She was silent, lowering her head, and then suddenly exploded. Yes, I took it out. So what? It's all because of you. If you weren't so greedy, so petty, we wouldn't have had to get into debt. If you had just paid for the vacation, like a normal daughter for her family, none of this would have happened." "Mom, are you serious? You're blaming me for the fact that you took out a loan. You're blaming me for your own mistakes?" I asked, feeling despair rising inside me. "And who else to blame? You ruined our vacation, you spoiled our mood, you disgraced us in front of your brother and his wife, and now we're in debt because of you. It's all your fault." I tried to explain to her again that it was her choice to take my card without asking, that it was her choice to take out a loan to cover expenses she couldn't afford, but she didn't want to listen. She closed herself off in her resentment, in her anger, in her conviction that she was right, and I was to blame for everything. Relations in the family finally deteriorated. The string snapped. We stopped communicating completely. Completely. No calls, no messages, no chance encounters. As if an invisible wall separated us, impenetrable and insurmountable. I felt more and more lonely, isolated. I lost not only the trust and respect of my family, but also my family itself. The home that had always been my fortress, my refuge, a place where I was loved and awaited, turned into a foreign, hostile space. What would you do in your daughter's place in such a situation? Would you pay for your family's vacation, or would you insist on your borders? Tell us about your choice in the comments.